On this week's show, Liberty football looked to continue its undefeated season and the story of a father, a daughter, and how they reunited at LU.
Plus, see how a former journalist found his way to the sidelines as a Flames field hockey coach. And Brylan Green's favorite moment at LU. This is Flames Central.
Well, we haven't been able to say it much recently, but Liberty football actually played a game. Welcome on into Flames Central. I'm Matt. She's Emily. After one game in 32 days, the Flames were back on the field this week.
Thank goodness. Football is back, but thankfully that's not all we focus on this week. We also have a couple of great stories coming your way from soccer and field hockey. Yeah, more on that in a moment, but it was another weekday CUSA game for the Flames, as on Wednesday it was a battle between two programs in very different positions. Liberty 5-0 on the year at 0-6 Kennesaw State. Now on paper, the Flames were the heavy favorite to win. But this game was played on grass, not paper. It would start out well enough, though, for Liberty. Salter finding Trahan Sibley for the score, 7-0 Flames. Okay, here we go. But this Owl offense that had been the worst in the nation all year, they were apparently saving all their good plays for this game. A 41-yard touchdown strike, followed by a 1-yard TD plunge, and Kennesaw State led 14-7 in the second quarter. Now, the Flames would find the end zone again before the half. Caden Salter slinging it, Dante Lee catching it, and we would head to halftime tied at 14. But in the second half, after a Liberty 3-and-out, KSU went back in front. A 9-yard touchdown run from Quay Ashley. They would push their lead out to 27-17 in the fourth quarter. Liberty trying to mount a rally. Salter finds his big target Elijah Canyon with just under 2 minutes to go to cut the deficit to 3. The Flames would not convert on the onside kick, so they would get the ball back with just 6 seconds remaining. Needing a miracle, Salter's pass to Mobley falls incomplete. Fans storm the field. Celebration time. But hold on. The officials would review it. They would say, no, 1 second left. Get off the field.
Get back to your seats. Let's try this again. And the result, well, wasn't any better. Liberty falls for the first time this season, which also snaps college football's longest active regular season win streak, by the way. Penalties, which have been an issue all year, they were again on this night, 9 of them for 100 yards, and they proved costly.
In key situations, you know, in the pressure moments, we're undisciplined. It hurts me to say that, and that's, you know, it's something, one of our values, and I've done a bad job of allowing those things to happen and not fixing it. And I mean, it's frustrating because it cost you maybe an opportunity to win another game, you know. And I think you got to give credit to them. They wanted the game more. Again, that's on me. They wanted the game more. They played more together as a team than we did, and it showed up.
So with the Liberty loss, here's a look at the Conference USA standings. Obviously, the Flames fall from the top spot as Western Kentucky and Liberty's next opponent, Jacksonville State, are still perfect in CUSA play. And speaking of LU's remaining schedule, of their 4 CUSA games remaining, 3 of them are against WKU, Jack State, and Sam Houston. In other words, it doesn't get any easier from here. Liberty will have to find a way to right the ship and do so quickly.
Yeah, hopefully this seas will calm before midweek on the mountain continues on Wednesday. Like Matt said, the Flames will host Jacksonville State. It's an opponent that Liberty safety Brylan Green found success against in last year's game. And it was this specific play that not only changed the momentum of that game, but it also happens to be Brylan's favorite moment in a Liberty uniform.
My name is Brylan Green. I play safety for the Liberty Flames. My favorite moment was definitely the pick against Jacksonville State in 2023.
Clock running again, 30 seconds to go in the half. Smothers on first down, taking a shot toward the end zone, and it is picked off. Brylan Green got it.
Going into halftime, it was like 20, 30-something seconds left. They was going fast because Jacksonville State, they like to go fast. Coach called like a cover 3 concept. So I'm in the middle of the field, I do my little skate, get into my back pedal, and I see the quarterback trying to look me off, and I was like, I don't think he's going that way. So then he ended up turning back, and Kobe Singleton was on his man. He probably could have had an interception too. I see the ball, and I was like, yeah, I got to go get this one.
To Smothers, pocket holds, throws it, left side, and it's going to be picked off at the 1-yard line. Brylan Green.
Man, when I first caught the ball, At first I was like, oh, I definitely got in, but I don't know if the ref had saw it. Me and the ref looked at each other, he nodded his head, I nodded my head, and it was, go time after that, got the pick.
I mean, that is a lot of ground the track for a safety. He runs right past the number 2 receiver, tracks that football, and is able to toe tap it in there. Heck of an interception by Brylan Green.
My teammates came over, we kind of celebrated for a little bit.
Here comes that Joker mask, and it's Brylan Green donning the green hair here tonight.
So the Joker mask, man, having that Joker mask on is crazy. It's a crazy experience. They throwing water, the fans get hit with water and all that. Man, just putting that Joker mask on just mean a lot. I think it's more so just celebrating with the boys, and it just puts you in a different mode. I don't know, it just felt like you can go out and make every play after you put on the Joker mask. I think it gave us a lot more confidence going into the third quarter, changed the momentum of the game, and we got the dub.
Brylan Green, his 4th pick of the year. Smothers threw it up in the air. Green came from center field, grabbed it out of the air, drugged the feet of the 2, inbounds. How about that for number 15?
Well, our next story involves a little football and a little soccer. But in reality, it's really more about a father and a daughter. Kayla Magee is a standout defender on the Liberty women's team, and she's also the daughter of LU football co-defensive coordinator Skylor Magee. They're together in Lynchburg now, but as you're about to see, didn't always look like that was going to happen. Being the daughter of a coach, football was always just a way of life for Kayla Magee.
As a kid, I think honestly, games were more about going to watch dad. I paid more attention to where dad was along the sideline than I actually did the game. For the longest time when I was little, football was just about watching dad coach and stuff.
For Kayla, the only thing better than attending her dad's games was when he was able to attend hers.
She was always really athletic. Her mom played soccer at a high level and coached college soccer for a little bit, so she always poured into her, and I kind of was just there supporting, and it grew into something that she really wanted to do.
It's always exciting, getting to look over and see him on the sidelines, watching me play and stuff like that, especially because we're both fall sports, so growing up especially, he didn't get to come to many games, but he made sure he could come whenever he could.
As her dad rose through the coaching ranks, Kayla would excel on the soccer field. So much so that she would sign with South Carolina out of high school. An exciting opportunity, but one that also posed a challenge.
Leaving my family to go to college was kind of hard. I would say not getting to watch his games and stuff like that when I moved away was kind of sad, because I see my family going to games and stuff like that, and I can't be there to support them or be there with them kind of thing. I feel him not coming to my games was also kind of hard too. Knowing and going into the season and games, knowing that I probably won't see dad for 3 months kind of thing was really hard for me.
It was during this time that Skylor would accept a position as the co-defensive coordinator at Liberty University.
Remember this.
And it wasn't long before Kayla began to have thoughts about joining him in Lynchburg.
I knew I wanted to be closer to my home.
Well, I had been recruiting her for a while, trying to get her to come to Liberty. From the moment that we were taking the job here, I was kind of saying, hey, they're pretty good. Is there something you'd be interested in? And I think it was right around November, last November, I mentioned it, and then she started to kind of open up to it. And all of a sudden, one night, she said, I think I'm going to get in the portal.
I reached out to Coach Lang here, and just after meeting with him once, I could tell he genuinely cared for the full development of all of his players, and so I knew that this would be an environment that I could really thrive in.
Kayla would join the Flames for the 2024 season, and she has thrived, both on the field and off.
The biggest thing I think I've seen is the growth from, not from us being around, but from her being around here. Coach Wiedemeyer does a great job building culture. I think that in itself is probably the biggest enjoyment for me, is that she's around somebody who's teaching them more about life than the game of soccer.
And now for Kayla, life looks a lot like it did during her younger years. You can find her cheering on her dad in the stands at Williams Stadium.
Let's go get the ball back!
And you can find Skylor supporting Kayla in the same way. The Magees thankful for the opportunity to be back together again.
I think being there again, it definitely brought back childhood memories, and it was just I don't know, it was so like refreshing and like just made me like so happy just to like get to like relive those kind of like things again. It's so cool getting to like have him at my games and stuff like that. Just like getting to like look up in the stands and like see him and like my whole family. Like it like truly warms my heart, and it's like truly like made me like appreciate that time that I get to spend with them now and stuff, and just like surround myself by them and their love and support. It like means the world to me.
Thanks to Caleb Smith for that story. You know, you don't really think about it, but for coaches, if their kids play a sport during the same season as you're coaching, it can be hard to be a part of it. But Skylor Magee says now it's incredible. He walks out of his office, he walks a few steps, he's at the soccer stadium, and he can watch your game. It's been incredible for them to be able to be together and be able to be a part of each other's lives like this again.
Yeah, and Kayla having the same opportunity to cheer on her dad. But Matt, we hate to admit it, but parents are always right. Kayla seems to be thriving here at Liberty.
Listen to Dad and you'll be glad. That's what we say. All right, we take a quick time out, but when we return, we bring you the story of an Irish journalist who somehow became a Liberty field hockey coach.
Plus, Rhett McGibbon joins us to name his athletes of the week. It's warm, hot, and fuego when Flames Central returns.
At Liberty University, we understand life can be unpredictable, and when you need a resilient career, your education should withstand any test. So we've made sure the degree you need is within reach by freezing one of the lowest tuition rates in the nation for 8 years and counting, and giving scholarships, discounts, and credit for work you've already done. Because we're proud of what you do. We've done this for over 30 years, and we know how to help. We're here to help you.
Tucked away in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Lynchburg, Virginia, you'll find us, Liberty University. Here, we pursue excellence in all of our academic endeavors, from anywhere. We fight for victory in our athletic programs and fan the flames with a mighty roar. We equip students with a Christ-centered perspective that changes lives. We are creators, problem solvers, and world changers. But above all of this, we are champions for Christ.
Welcome back to Flames Central. You know, it's been an up and down season for Liberty field hockey, but one constant has been the play and the leadership from this young lady, midfielder Reagan Underwood. Before the game against Longwood, the Lady Flames honored her and 6 other players for Senior Day. And Matt Warner, guess who got to sing the national anthem?
Who?
Reagan Underwood, a woman of many
that?
talents. Still not sure why I haven't been invited to sing the national anthem. All right, to the game. Liberty had 12 shots on goal in the second quarter alone, but this corner mattered most. Just 43 seconds before halftime, Tuti Delana puts LU on the board 1-0. To the fourth, just over a minute left in the final frame. Longwood makes it a little interesting. Zoe Tierney ties it up with a penalty stroke shot. That score will remain until the end of regulation, so overtime we go. And it's senior day, so it has to be a senior that wins it for Liberty, right? Yep, Lou Cumbrink sets up Martu Sion beautifully. That's her 27th career goal, and the Lady Flames extend their winning streak to 4 straight with a 2-1 overtime victory. Well, one of the factors in Liberty Field Hockey's recent success is because of associate head coach Alan Good. Since his time on the mountain, Coach Good has helped Liberty capture 2 Big East championship titles and a trip to the national championship game in 2021, which is a great story in itself. But Coach Good's journey to America and how he ended up coaching this sport makes his story that much better.
I grew up in a town called Kinsale in Southern Ireland near Cork City. I wanted to be a journalist as early as I can remember. I was good at English. One of my first jobs when I was 16 years old was I used to run all ages punk, rock and metal gigs in Cork City, selling tickets, running the shows, booking the bands, all that jazz. So alternative music was my thing growing up.
But Alan wanted more. He would try to get his foot in the door in the field of journalism by blending his 2 passions.
I wanted to see, could I, write album reviews or gig reviews, that kind of thing. I was like, could I get a shot at trying to write that in one of the local newspapers? And they were like, all right, we'll give you one go at this and see if you suck or not. And once you get published for the first time, you're like, yeah, I want more of that. Like that thrill of getting paid to write about something I would have gone to anyway, like a concert, was an amazing feeling.
The young journalist would see his name in many papers across Ireland and the United Kingdom. He would write about crime, politics, and music. But before long, a new opportunity would arise that would drastically change his life.
The guy who used to write about hockey for our newspaper retired, and hockey's a pretty minority sport in Ireland, and so they were like looking around the newsroom going, well, does anybody here know anything about this sport? And I was like, well, I went to a school that played it, but I mean, my buddies all play it, but I don't play it, but I've watched enough of it. And they were like, right, you, go. And I was like, well, if I'm gonna write about this sport, I think I better learn how to play it. So I started as an adult beginner at 22. So I started writing about it, and that led to starting to play it. And ultimately, that's then what's led to coaching it.
Alan would trade out his life behind the keyboard for one with a whistle.
It was honestly absolute insanity because I took a 50% pay cut to do this, and coaching's not really a profession in Ireland unless you happen to be good enough to coach a national team. So I was coaching 12 teams at the same time to make this work. So that was across 3 different clubs and 3 different schools. And so it was manic, as you might imagine. There was everything from under 13 boys to over 55s women in these teams.
In 2017, the now Coach Good would move across the pond to the States to start a new life as a club field hockey coach in Virginia. And one fall evening in 2019, he would take his team to see the UVA Who's take on the Liberty Flames.
This was a real back and forth, like barn burner of a game, but no one could score. And UVA scored with about 90 seconds to go to win the game 1-0.
Back towards the middle. A scrum in front of goal. It trickles in, and Virginia's got the lead.
Afterwards, I bumped into Coach Nikki and her husband, Hugh.
We were looking for somebody to help develop our drag flick, so my husband had been telling me for honestly many months, like, hey, like, what do you think about bringing this Alan Good, a good coach in? It was evident after talking to Alan for 10 seconds that he was elite at what he did, and it was just a matter of him getting a chance to coach at this level, and he was going to be pretty special.
But before Alan would ever come for that clinic, Coach Nikki Parsley-Blocker would call about an opening on the Liberty coaching staff. And the two have been on the sidelines together ever since.
Can't believe we're here. Yeah.
What a day.
Even reaching the university's first ever national championship game in 2021.
The Flames are heading to the national championship game.
So I don't think I've ever heard of somebody coming from journalism and then into field hockey, but it's really cool because I think he's able to apply some of that skill set that he had from a different career into what he does every day in hockey.
When you're in journalism, you have to learn how to ask good questions, right? Questions that are going to get people to talk. And I think that's the same in coaching. Like, there's times when we might just have to give the players the answer in a short instruction in the moment.
You're going, yeah, ball. What did we say last week? Yeah. You want the ball down here, don't you? Yeah. Ask for it where you want it, all right, buddy? Thanks.
But there's also a lot of other times where we're trying to ask a guided question, you know, to see if they can almost find the solution themselves with our help.
If we have the ball and we're under some pressure and we're trying to get the shot off, we need to move what? Our feet. Our feet. We can't just stand there and play around with the ball. Move our feet, look for the stick, okay? Can you show the group that, please, Molly?
Yeah, right here, my defender.
Yeah, attack your own right foot because you're looking for their left one, okay? All right? If I can't shoot and I can't pass, I look for a penalty corner, okay? Yep. Let's do it.
In the same way that, you know, if I had a 2,000-word article that needed to, you know, was a big feature that required multiple interviews and I knew it had to be in by this date, there's a lot of work that has to go in to get it to that point, and it's the same for us when we're in season.
Exactly like I taught her in practice yesterday. Exactly what we worked on down there.
There's definitely similarities in that you're constantly building up to a moment, you put it out into the world, hope the product is good, and then you're prepared to do it all over again.
To share a sideline with him, I can't believe that it's been 5 years. He compliments me and I compliment him extremely well, and that allows us to be a really special team.
Thanks to Donald Scott for that story. Such an interesting journey for Coach Good to the States. All right, we welcome in Rhett McGibbon. You know what that means. Warm, hot, and fuego, top player moment from the past week here at Liberty Athletics. No theme this week,
No
Brett?
theme this week, but I do have a great feel-good story to kind of get things going.
Yes.
Let's start here. Men's soccer, Blake Franzen, goalkeeper, right? He's been around the program for a long time. You know, coming into this season, had not played since last year. A lot of people, he had an injury. He didn't know if he'd ever play again. Wow. But just this past week, gets his first start of the year. His parents just so happen to be in from South Africa. Wow. He gets the start. He gets the clean sheet. And truthfully, played a great game. Yeah. But we got to chat with him afterwards, and he just talked about like how it was a big moment for him. Again, he didn't know if he'd ever get to play soccer again at the collegiate level. But, buddy, maybe earn yourself another start. Got out there, managed the ball really well. Didn't have to make any like big stops in the game. But they have balls coming in where, you know, kick it out of harm's way. I thought he managed the game extremely well. Did not look rusty at all for a guy who had not played in almost a year, and a big victory for the Flames.
Yeah, congrats to him getting back on the field. All right, from warm, we go to hot.
All right, Luke Humbrink, this young lady on the field hockey team, again, a senior, and you're kind of getting down the stretch, and you're going to this part. I mean, she's a junior, rather, but you're going down the stretch, and you need your upperclassmen, your veteran leaders to kind of get going for you, and she did that against Quinnipiac. The hat trick, 3 goals. She had 7 points over the week against Quinnipiac and Longwood. And so this is a team, you know, I was thinking about this field hockey team, and yeah, it's been an up and down season. There's a lot of youth, but tell me if I'm wrong. I could also see them, you kind of get the youth they figured out. They take their lumps through the year. You got one coming up against UConn here soon too. You kind of learn your lessons, and then you get to the tournament, and it's like, hey, nobody's expecting us really to make it happen this year. Let's just go out and just have fun and see what sticks. And I could see this team doing it. They have a ton of talent. They've had the veteran leadership. If they were back in the tournament, it wouldn't surprise me at all. In some ways, I'm betting on it in my mind a little bit. So yeah, it'll be fun to see.
You want to see those young players steadily improve, and it feels like they've done that here over the last few weeks. All right, finally, Rhett, this week's En Fuego athlete is who?
We go back to men's soccer. It's Michael Huss. He had a terrific game against ISU. 2 goals and 2 assists. And this might blow your mind a little bit. I'm digging through the records of men's soccer. Michael Huss is on the cusp of...
Huss is on the cusp?
Yes, yeah.
I had no idea Huss was on the cusp.
Of being in the top 10 of goals scored in program history.
Wow.
He's only like about 4 or 5 away.
Yeah.
So if you have a strong finish to your season, do a little work when it comes to, you know, conference tournament time, this is a guy could finish in the top 10. Now, here's my challenge to Michael Huss, right? Yeah. You got big games coming up against Houston Christian and Lindenwood. He does a terrific job of scoring. We can all see that, but he's got to score in those big games. If you can do that, Liberty's going to be a top 2 seed in the OVC, and we'll get that first round bye. And I think can go on to the tournament from there.
You don't fuss with Huss when he's on the cusp, Rhett. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Hey, thank you, Rhett. Still to come, we had a big week in our Flames Fantasy League. Who made a move? We'll tell you when Flames Central returns.
Welcome to Liberty University's online programs, where living out your calling with integrity is what you train to do. And getting ready for the future doesn't mean missing out on the now. Because a university is more than buildings and books. And an education should set you free, not fence you in. Welcome to Liberty's global campus, where distance learning was pioneered and evolved into one of the top-ranked schools in the nation. Where protecting your budget, your time, and your education isn't just a theory, it's our priority. Here, degrees in your field reflect industry demands and help you get ahead of the competition. Where college comes to you, but you can come to college too. Game day, homecoming, graduation day. Your school, your values, your experience, your choice. Welcome to Liberty University, where we train champions for Christ.
A college degree is more than a diploma. It's taking control of your future and finding that next step. At Liberty University, we not only care about your career, we also care about your calling. And we want to help you learn, develop, and grow so you can make an impact as a champion for Christ. Over 600 online programs, one you, infinite possibilities.
Get your career started on the right track. Let Liberty University help you get on the road to success.
Welcome back to the show. You know, it feels like it's been forever since we've had a Flames fantasy update. Now,
darn.
I'm sure you all didn't forget, but really it's just Joe Yock and myself competing this season. Emily decided to take the year off.
That is completely not true.
Yeah.
My team didn't just get bit by the injury bug. It basically is the injury bug, man, honestly. I don't know who is on my team, who was on my team.
It hasn't really
just get
mattered
through the
much,
standings.
honestly. But, Emily, your team actually performed the best out of all of us this week.
I knew it. I believed in him all
33.5
along.
points. TJ Bush had a big game.
He
Elijah
did.
Canyon had a touchdown. So big week for you. Actually, we both outscored Joe, although second half of the season still upcoming. Joe firmly in control. We can close that gap.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'm having a little, I'm not having much hope, but we'll see on that comeback. Hey, the Flame Central podcast is a little different. It's on Thursdays the next 2 weeks. Be sure to check it out.
And go to libertyflamecentral.com for any stories that you might have missed along the way. She's Emily. I'm Matt. Thank you so much for watching. We'll plan on seeing you right back here next week.